Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Victor from the Star Events team, and I'm glad to be your host for the session today. Thank you for joining us today, live on web online seminar on making sense of treated wastewater, which is actually organized in conjunction with the National Environment Day. This 1-hour session is organized by Indah Water Konsortium in collaboration with Star Media Group Berhad, and it is streamed live on StarBiz Facebook page. So thank you everyone for tuning in right now. Do share our StarBiz Facebook Live with any of your colleagues or friends who are keen to join. All right, a few quick housekeeping matters before we begin. As everyone dials in to this webinar through different internet bandwidth and devices, you may or may not experience minor technical glitches. So please be patient if there's any. To minimize the risk of technical glitch, all participants are muted, video cam turned off, and chat box disabled by default. But do participate by posting questions to our panel. You may send your questions to our panelists at the same time or during the session. On your user panel, click on the Q&A button and post your questions there if you're using Zoom, or place it in the comment section if you're watching via FB Live. There will be a short survey at the end, so please take a few minutes to complete it. Your opinion really matters to us. Lastly, and most importantly, please engage, learn, and enjoy. For this exciting session today, we have the pleasure of having Dr. Jovy Lai, lecturer, School of Biosciences, Faculty of Health and Medical Sciences from Taylor's University, as our moderator. Thank you for joining us in today's session, Dr. Jovy. Dr. Jovy is currently teaching biotechnology and is the module coordinator of Introduction to Microbiology, Bioprocess Technology, and Applied and Industrial Microbiology. Currently, she is doing a quantitative survey on the awareness of lake water pollution among the local community in Klang Valley. With that, I'd like to hand you over to Dr. Jovy to begin the session. Over to you, Dr. Jovy.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Victor. Good afternoon, everyone, and a warm welcome for tuning in to today's webinar on making sense of treated wastewater. I am Dr. Jovy, and I'm great to be your moderator for today's interesting topic. Water, after it is used for our daily activities, it is discharged as wastewater. After the treated wastewater, it will be then discharged again into our waterways, for example, like the rivers and the drain. This seems a simple cycle enough for us to comprehend. Yet, this invariable resource that plays such an integral role in our daily life, especially in a period where we are faced with a global pandemic, can easily be taken for granted. I'm glad that our Prime Minister, Tan Sri Muhyiddin Yassin, made this observation, and I would like to echo him that there is reinvigoration of our Mother Earth despite the grim countenance of COVID-19. In his speech recently, he has said that the Ministry of the Environment and Water is spearheading the environmental sustainability roadmap towards sustainable development. The 10-year timeline will address the environment issue and challenge, contributing to the nation's goal of moving towards circular economy. If I may be bold to advance an extra step to say that we have done well in this area, because ladies and gentlemen, together with my fellow panelists, we are cognizant of the fact and effort invested in preserving our water resources. Malaysia is one of the countries that has committed to the goals outlined by the United Nations through the Sustainable Development Goal, where we first introduced the Green Technology Master Plan Malaysia. These master plans progress towards achieving the extensive goals and indicators of SDG, namely goal number 6, 7, 11, 12, and goal number 13. In the face of rapid development and urbanization, there is a huge potential in reusing recycled wastewater to drive the growth of the circular economy. In this respect, wastewater treatment is a crucial aspect of the development, as water life cycle can be renewed after it has been treated, and the simplicity of the cycle as we know it can be extended and expanded. For that, our panelists are made up of subject matter experts, and this afternoon, they will be also to shed more light on how the water and the wastewater industry can drive the growth of circular economy while preserving the environment. To begin the discussion, it is my pleasure to introduce our three panelists, Datuk Kadir, the President of Malaysian Water Association, Mr. Narendran, the CEO of Indah Water Konsortium, and Amlir Ayat, Vice President of EcoKnights. So to our first panelist, Datuk Kadir, this is some brief introduction. He has more than 36 years of industry experience in the water and sewerage sectors, with vast exposure in the engineering consultancy and public listed company in the senior management position. He has extensive practical knowledge in strategy planning, designing, managing water and the sewerage works project within the country and abroad in the UK, Singapore, and the Middle East. So now welcome Datuk Kadir. So now I pass to Datuk Kadir for the presentation.
Thank you, Dr. Jovy. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to this webinar. We have given a very limited time. I'm going to go very fast, and thanks to Dr. Jovy, who has given a brief insight of what is wastewater. So that particular things I will skip. But can we share my slide, please? Okay, next. I'm going to cover 7, but it will be very fast. This slide will be made available if anyone were to want to make reference, because I'm not going to read all the text here. I'm just going to pick up some of the key words and key facts that I'm going to share with all of you in this afternoon webinar. Next. Just to put this scary picture first, because this is very important. We are facing this now, actually. As you can see, not many people know maybe how we use water. As you can see, 70% is used for the agriculture, is from the raw water, and domestic is only 28%, and the environment only receive 2%. If you look at the current scenario, 8 out of 11 states are exposed to water supply risk in year 2020, and this will prolong if we are not careful. The states are, as shown, Perlis, Kedah, Penang, Selangor, and Melaka. They will be having this deficit. And what you can see, the sign of deficit has been already shown in the recent spate of water disruption. Next. So after showing that, let's look at where we are compared to the global. So globally, they also projected that we're going to have this water stress, which is due to the population growth, rapid urbanization, and climate change. So where Malaysia is concerned, the perfect scenario, you look at the year 2020, 2030, 2040, under the perfect scenario that there's no pollution and wastewater is treated and water is available for use and consumption, we should be okay. But as you can see, those are the reserve that we have of raw water source. Will be 10%, 20%, and 40% level, as you can see on the right-hand side. Those are the indicators to show what is available in the perfect scenario. So we are blessed with abundant water, and yet our current management of water resources leave much more to be desired, which we have to have a better and more efficient in managing the raw water source. Next. Okay, the subject matter, before I go to direct the related what they call topic, I'd like to show here, we as a public, we also have a role to play because we use a lot of water. And based on what we have abstraction of this production of water, as you see, this is the statistic shown by SPAN. Those on the right hand side of 2018, the total groundwater or the total raw water source is about 15,259 MLD, and those are the one that's currently being used by all the stakeholders. If you look at in-term consumption, this is where we, as I say just now, based on the 3 sources that we have, abstraction from the river, storage dam, and groundwater, we abstract a lot from the river. But we also look at how we use water. On the left-hand side, just to show where we are in terms of water usage. We use more than 200 liter per capita per day, and this needs to be changed. The culture needs to be changed, thereby we should throw away the bad habit and go to water preservation and reduce this water consumption by our individuals and so household and other of the industries. Next. This is just to show the little capital again. As you can see, who has the highest is Perlis, followed by Penang, Perak, and the rest. So as you can see, Penang, Perlis about 300 liter per capita per day, and the lowest is being Kelantan, and Selangor is more than 200. Those more than 200 is quite a lot. Only few states like Kelantan, FT Labuan, Pahang, having less than 200. This is the national average that we look at based on the statistic given by SPAN. Next. Okay, this is the real subject matter of the day to show what we have. We always forget this sector. This is a serious sector that we have to really look at and appreciate what they have done, because without them, you will not have a house. Even though you have a house, but you will not be staying if your toilet is not in order. But more important to show here, the volume. I will talk about the volume later, but these are the quantity of number of treatment plant that IWK operate. And IWK is not alone. As you can see, we have also private treatment plant, about 3,000. IWK was 7,000. If you look at IWK, they were to operate the communal septic tank, they have about 10,000 in their hand. And compared to the private sewage treatment plant, they're about 3,000 to 4,000 out there. And we still have this traditional system and also septic tank. So these are the statistics given that how to make use of this. And this is the subject matter of our webinar today. Next. Next. I'm going to go into detail this because Dr. Jovy already covered all this. This is about water that's been contaminated. The subject of today, we are talking only about domestic wastewater. I'm not going to touch on industrial waste. Next. This is just to show what is wastewater for those who doesn't know, but I guess that's been well covered by Dr. Jovy. Next. This is very important to show the cycle of water. So how we reduce the water cost, because if from the source go to water treatment, how it's being used and discharged and collected by the wastewater treatment and reused and returned. So not many people knows that this water can also be reused and reused and reused many, many times. That's why we have to safeguard our river, become our source, and that becomes our very precious water commodity that we need to safeguard for now and future. Next. Let me share with you how the water supply get the water. What I've showed previous slide, there are three main, but there are also others. If you look at the surface water, is the main one. Second is all those impounded that include, in one is the dam, bonded storage, coastal reservoir, groundwater tanks that's yet to be built, detention pond, off river storage. And with the annual rainfall of 990,000 billion liter that we have, and those are the areas that fill up the dams and also release water to the river. The groundwater make up about 175 billion, and thereby you look at the fourth step. I'm calling that is a step. The fourth step is Indah Water. This is the 5,000. It's more than 5,000 liter, just for 5,000. But this, bear in mind, this is only the statistic given by Indah Water, excluding the private treatment plant and excluding Sabah Sarawak. And then the source is very little, it's rainwater. And of course, the very little again is air water generator. But of course, we have a lot of seawater that become the 7 taps that we have for water supply, and some has not been explored or not have been used yet. Next. So how we use this treated wastewater reuse? It can also revive back the yield of the river by the treated water can go back to the river. It can also be blending with impounded water to fill up. That's what happened in Singapore. They treated and put it in their reservoirs. It can be also as a groundwater recharge, internal use for all the plants. It can be complementing the rainwater harvesting through the integrated water supply management, which I will talk about it later. It also complement this atmospheric water, and last not least, can be used for the non-potable usage. And I'm sure Mr. Narendran will cover in his slide on this subject matter. Next. Next. So how to close the loop? If you look at wastewater treatment plant, if I compare this to water treatment plant, wastewater is more expensive. We've been blessed for decades that Malaysia been paying almost to nothing compared to water, because they regard water is more expensive. But if you look at the experience in overseas, sewage is always more than water. And you don't have to go too far. If you look at Singapore, how they build, there are two components of billing for water, which they have integrated water and sewage together. And you are paying for the number of toilets plus what they call waterborne waterborne fee, whereby it is calculated based on the volume of water that you use. So there are two calculation in Singapore. They charge you by the volume and charge you by the number of toilets, whereby in Malaysia you're still enjoying RM8 is about 26 cents a day, and till today you're still enjoying. So we should not be taken that as for granted, because there's much things to be done, and it's more expensive to treat wastewater compared to water side. So if you look at it, according to the International Energy Agency, the global electricity consumption for wastewater collection and treatment requires 60% more electricity in 2040 than in 2014, as the amount of wastewater in need to treat increases. For information, the statistic also shows that the energy consumption in wastewater is about 20 to 30%, and it increases as they take more treatment plant. So one of the ways is to look at resource recovery during this wastewater treatment is becoming more critical than ever, and I would thank to the new technology, and this how it is a brilliant reality to show how we can transform the loss factor into a gain factor. Next. Next. I'm going to go very fast here just to show what we can do, how we can learn from the others, because basically talk about waste. Waste is no more waste. Waste is a resource. Our mindset should be changed now. When we build not to waste, build to recover. And how you recover is to produce the clean water, and you recover all the nutrients and whatever safe material from the product, and reduce the reliance on fossil fuels through energy efficient processes, meaning that you don't need petrol anymore, you need diesel that can be retrieved from this wastewater treatment plant. And of course, last not least, the major part is the renewable energy production. If you look at the treatment plant, what they produce is always three elements of byproduct. One is liquid, solid, and gas. So if talk about liquid, that is can be reused for non-potable industries. Steam is another one that's really untapped that can be used. The nutrients recover is for the fertilizer at landfill, and of course the energy recovery, that is for the electricity and the methane gas. I always say that IWK or our national sewerage company can also be a second to Petronas, because they have gas. If you enhance the gas, it can run all their vehicles, and that will reduce all these fossil fuels. And that's what I meant by fossil fuels in my left-hand side data. Next. So what is wastewater and reuse? This is a compliment from Indah Water. This is a sample of Pantai 2 regional treatment plant. I'm not going to read all those that can be recovered. I'll just focus those in the cloud in red. The water resource, what it can produce is 7.2 MLD. And what it does is 6 million ringgit per year saving in water. So you see, that is saving. And what it does is it can recover this water and can be reused. So this is the subject matter that we have not been looked at in detail by our industry. Next. So this is how Singapore manage. Singapore is desperate for water. We are not that desperate because we have a lot of water. But again, there are a lot of water that drops into Malaysian soil, but not a single drop to drink, especially during the crisis. So what happened? This is where we talk about management, and this is how Singapore have looked a few decades ago. They have transformed the whole of Singapore to become the water catchment area, and they recycle every last drop of water that they can produce. Desalination is also another area they look at, but that become the last resource. But they are using everything to make sure that they can recover every single drop. And the one that I cloud is the subject matter that we are discussing today, is the treatment of used water. And you see how it be recycled. It goes to the new water and it goes back to the reservoir, and then the reservoir being abstracted that water for the treatment plant, and it goes in the cycle again. Next. Next. Okay, this is some of the leaders in innovation that what we call have invented few things. Some are ongoing, some already on board in the progress, but have to warn, technology come with cost. We cannot pay what we call third class, what we call state for first class benefits. So the what we call we have to change our what we call perception on this, because if you want things that are good, you have to pay for it. And if you want first class facility, we cannot have a third class mentality. And I like to quote what happened in the modern introduction of sewerage that the national trying to impose or try to adopt. That happened in one of the, I'm not going to say which taman. We put up a very first class modern sewerage network, but it was used by a third class mentality, and they damaged everything, and thereby the whole system was out, and they have a lot of serious problem in managing the sewerage system using the modern ways of vacuum system. Next. I just show you a few examples. I'm going to run very quickly. This is in Netherlands, where they have turned they separate the cellulose from the incoming fresh water, and what is the product is the biocomposite. It's a biocompost for outdoor use, and this is a composite plastic that can be used for the construction industry or for consumer goods. Next. Spain, this is SETCA what we call system. This is also another one that promotes most promising biopolymers as substitute for oil-based plastic. Next. United Kingdom is ion exchange. As you can see, these are the recovered products of ammonium sulfate, calcium phosphate, and I believe some of it has already been explored by Indah Water in the bonus treatment plant. And you please feel free to contact Mr. Narendran to visit this plant and see for yourself the product that we have in house. But I would say, sadly, we don't have that support to give fund to explore further to develop this what they call way of technology in extracting phosphorus from the secondary wastewater. Next. This is another one from Italy. It's a process of Sina and Sepka treated. Of course, also is recovering phosphorus as provide and provide a sludge enriched with PHA. Next. Greece, again from Sina, it produces cellulose fluff and cellulose pellets. Is to produce commercial fertilizer, biofuel out of cellulosic and phosphorus-rich sludge. Next. Okay, this is a bit different. What I've showed the example before is all centralized. This is decentralized. It may not be much, but it will be beneficial to the individuals, housing or small what we call buildings that treat water, because this is a system that recover all your bathrooms, shower and bath, and reuse back for the toilet flushing. Because in time of water, if you look at I didn't show you the statistic of water usage in the house, but one of the most being used is your toilet flushing, apart from your washing machine. So by using this, the system offers more than 45% saving on water supply and more than 45% saving on sewage effluent, because you recycle. So this is already on board. This is available in the market, and perhaps you can venture, because it is a decentralized system in helping the owners to save water in their site. Next. This is another area I would like to say. This is integrated water supply management system for long-term sustainability. Is a challenge to eventually make your main supply to become a standby rather than your main supply become your main what you call source of water, because it basically recycle everything. started off from extracting water from the air, because basically if you look at water, if I take a plain figure of 200 liter, mainly a person only need about 5 liter. So about currently the statistic shows any design, it take about 200 or 225 for sewerage. If I take a round figure for calculation sake, 200 liter per day per person. For a household of 5, you need 1,000. But basically, what you use for your drinking and your consume is only 5 liter. So 5 liter multiplied by 5 is 25. So basically, you just need 25 liter to survive in a house. And the rest is all for non-potable usage. So if you look at this system, it's just merely a concept to make people use the water for the right use. And as you can see, it will also recycle the wastewater for irrigation, and the rest is for cleaning. And it will trap all the groundwater, it will trap all the rainwater, and also your sewage that can be totally recycled, and thereby is an integrated water supply management system for individual premise. Next. Next. Okay, I'm about to finish. This is the how we play. We should play as an important role. Talk about circular economy. So there is an innovative plan sets to make sense again for the future. How you use the circular economy to convert all this source of water from this wastewater that can be used, and also can help us to increase the margin of our potable water. Next. I'll just show you a snapshot what it should be for Malaysia and also for any other countries or looking at circular economy. This is just focusing on treatment plant. If you look on the right hand side, the center part is the treatment plant and how the treatment plant serve the city, and then everything is being recycled, all the 3 byproducts. If you look at what happened today, the wastewater treatment, removal and removal of biogenic compounds and disposal of safe sludge, iteration of biogas. This is today, but for tomorrow, all this will be different. So it's changing of habit, changing of culture, and thereby changing the whole concept of perception of water to be reused. But of course, with careful thought that it be used for non-potable usage. Next. Next. So in conclusion, despite the fact that being water reuse is already becoming essential and reliable water, when I say reliable, because reliable as long as people go to the toilet, then you have water. It's unlike the rain or whatever, because people use toilet every day. You know? It's not once in a while. You don't abandon your toilet once a month. No, it's everyday use. Thereby, that is the question of reliability, and that can be used for reuse. So the water sector in Malaysia is still in a nascent phase, but we have unique opportunities for this reuse to be implemented on a wider scale, and I believe YBhg started that, and hopefully being supported by the government and public at large. So while obvious approach is to reclaim wastewater as a national resource, we should look at innovative approach to recover other valuable resources, as what I presented, not only water, because we have quite a lot, but we will recover what is in demand, not recover for the sake of recovering, but we recover what's in demand that is most precious and needed by the industry. Next. So it's high time to really introduce this sustainability through the zero waste management concept by maximizing waste to resource, and hence it will become waste to wealth. So the rebranding of our sewage treatment plant to be one green resource center is another way of rebranding what we have, because if we really go for circular economy, nothing goes out. That's why it was zero management. Nothing goes out except for dollars and cents that bring back to the water or the sewage company. And that is in line with transforming the sector, water sector, from cost to profit center. So last and not least, to spearhead or to have a quantum lead, hope the government can allow the private sector to be involved on a transparency basis to put up their proposal, and then that can be looked at which can be best implemented to expedite the transformation of that sector to be sustainable on the long term. So with that, I thank you for your kind attention, and I'll be pleased to answer any question that you have on my presentation. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Dr. Kadir, for the sharing. So we will now speak to Mr. Naren, the CEO of Indah Water Konsortium. Mr. Naren spearhead the company to undertake the vital task of ensuring that Malaysians are able to enjoy the clean and healthy environment through a proper and well-maintained sewerage system. Mr. Naren has 20 years of successful experience with combined professional experience in strategic planning, business development, planning of water and wastewater infrastructure, and operation of water and wastewater service, including the project financing. So, Mr. Naren, can you tell us briefly on the importance of the IWK in water conservation and the environment? And do you think that the wastewater represent a valuable and readily available resource that we must tap into? Mr. Naren?
Thank you, Dr. Jovy. Greetings to everyone. Thank you for participating in this talk. So I think Dr. Kadir has covered quite a bit, but I will go in depth on the direction of the company moving forward. We have about 7,000 treatment plants at the moment, generating close to 5,000 MLD. This is quite a large volume of treated effluent discharge into watercourse. Now, one would know that during MCO, I mean, a lot of us have seen it for ourselves, that the river water quality significantly improved, while at the same time we were discharging the same volume of treated effluent. So this confirms that we are doing good to the rivers. We are actually bringing life to rivers because we have 96, 97% effluent compliant. So this effluent that is being discharged into watercourse can be used again for non-potable use. So the company is now taking directive moving forward to fulfill our circular economy approach. We have three significant byproducts. One of it is biogas, the second one is biosolids, and the third one is bioeffluent. The biogas generated from our treatment system is used to power up gas engine. Maybe we can move to the next slide. Okay, so the gas that is being generated by our treatment plants are used to power up gas engine. We have biosolids, the sludge. Two initiatives that we are aggressively moving forward is we are in the midst of developing waste to energy plant and also black soldier larvae. Okay, what is black soldier larvae? You can Google this after the talk later. We are working with a third party to actually utilize 40% of our sludge and 60% of our food waste. We combine this and this becomes food for the larvae. And the larvae actually eats this compost sludge together with kitchen waste, food waste. It grows up to 30 mm and it's harvested to create food and protein pellets. Now the sludge used is sterilized sludge. So this is a very big business. So we're looking at actually getting about 50 tons of sludge generated per day for black soldier. This will be initiated probably in a year's time. The third one and the most significant one is bioeffluent. We are taking quite an aggressive approach where, next slide please. Next slide. Okay, so what we are doing now, we are actually working with the government to generate water reclamation facilities. So one of the effort that we have put on is with Selangor. I don't mind sharing. Now both companies have come to an agreement to work together to formalize an SPV by end of this year. So Indah Water and Selangor will form this SPV. The composition is 60-40. Selangor will take up 60 and IWK will take up 40. Now this SPV will raise financing and implement water reclamation facilities. This SPV will then sell water to the water operator. So in the case of Selangor, the SPV will sell the reclaimed water to Selangor, and Selangor will further sell it to its consumers. So we have finalized a lot of the documentation, an approval process. There's pending 2-3 more approvals, and we'll execute this. We have a plan in Setia Alam, which both parties have agreed that we'll take over from a private sector, upgrade it to 10 MLD. It's currently 5 MLD, upgrade it to 10 MLD. And this water, we have an offtake from a rubber glove factory, and we will proceed then on. Now, that's only 10 MLD. Moving forward, we're looking at 2 large plants, one in Shah Alam itself, which is located within industrial area, which will minimize the distribution cost of treated water, and further Pantai, which generates about 300 MLD a day. So this effort will actually ease the available resources for potable use. Yeah. So these projects, the first phase, we are getting good reviews and from the financial institution. We have financial institution coming forward to finance this project. We are also talking with PAB for large scale, if PAB can finance such project, and we will pay lease charges. Now the tariff that works out is a tariff that has to cover the financing cost, the capex and the opex, and with minimum profit. So we're looking at probably 8 to 9% profit. So this is a direction that we are taking for Selangor. With other water operators, we have also started talking, namely in Melaka, Syarikat Melaka. We are looking at strategic locations, particularly Batu Berendam, Mukim Cheng area, where we have the centralized sewage treatment plant that will likely be ready by 3rd quarter of next year. So with the readiness of this new centralized sewage treatment plant, we're able to then construct a water reclamation plant to distribute industrial grade water to industries in Batu Berendam area. So successful RFPs, I will share with you later, but basically this is the direction that the company is taking. This is also in line with the approval that we have obtained to build up our non-core business in the company. So thank you.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Narendran. Also today, they are the last panelist, who is the Vice President of the EcoKnights, is Mr. Amlir. Mr. Amlir has worked with the public and corporate sectors, communities, and UNDP on various river basin management projects. He is a strong advocate for education for sustainability and also an environmental consultant. He is a strong His project include the project Pencara, Malaysia First Urban Community River Management Project, a collaboration with various federal and local government agencies and the community. So Mr. Amlir, thank you for joining us today. What do you think that the public at large can contribute to a more sustainable and efficient wastewater management in this country?
Thank you, Dr. Jovy. First of all, I would like to thank staff for kindly inviting me to join this forum. And I'm glad that Datuk Engineer Kadir mentioned something about the mindset. It's all about mindset. When we talk about how can public be a part of the whole system, it's about behavioral changes and reforming some of their attitudes. When the organization, when EcoKnights, we talk to the public, we have 2 things that is a part of our mission. First is to disseminate information and knowledge to people about the entire system. If you're talking about wastewater, we are talking about what does it mean to us? What does the wastewater treatment industry mean to us? Where does the public fit into the picture? When you say public, we're talking about the school children, the communities, the corporate sectors, and also other public members in the society. So in this case, people need to know where do they fit in and how do they contribute to the industry, or how does the industry affect them? This is knowledge. But the challenging thing is how to make them do something which is appropriate to achieve the entire mission of sustainable water management, in this case about wastewater. How do we get the public to do something right? We have the knowledge. Knowledge is like, I can give you an analogy like a knife. Okay, knowledge is a knife, it's neutral. But then when we talk about doing something, is what do you do with that knife? We can always give information to the people, but the challenging thing is to get people to be motivated to do something. So the public can actually do a lot of things. This is what we normally tell them. They have the picture, they have the information, what is happening to the wastewater industry, what is happening to the water resources in general, how do we achieve sustainable development in terms of water management. But at the end, we need to tell them also what they can do. This is something that is challenging to us, not because they do not understand what we are talking about. If you ask 100 people or 1,000 Malaysians about the water issues in Malaysia, about climate change and whatnot, you may have 100%, all of them know or are aware of the problem. They know about climate change. They know about water pollution issues. They know what they should do. But how many of them would be able to do something about it? This is the issue, how to motivate them to do something about it. So if you ask me what can the public do, the public can do a lot of things. Even if you go to schools, for example, when you talk about EcoKnights, we had been participating in the River of Life program together with the federal government, especially with the Department of Irrigation and Drainage. And we carry out Anugerah Hijau program, where we get a number of schools in Klang Valley especially to get them do something at their level, at the school level, to conserve or to do their bit on water management. We brought them to camps, eco camps. So it's like eco motivation camps, and give them information about what's happening to water situation in Malaysia, the quality, the quantity, and the issues and challenges. And we give them the opportunity to discuss what can they do at the school level in order to help the government or to help River of Life program achieve its program, its objectives. And these students, actually, they come up with very, very good solutions, focusing on major pollutants to the river. For example, food waste, plastic bags or other plastic products, and also cooking oil, for example, and other waste. And they come up with solutions like doing composting and also recycling, cooking oil, and things like that. So imagine if these thousands of bottles are not taken by the students or by the parents of the students to the schools, then these might go to the waterways and disrupt our wastewater treatment system or treatment industry. So this is something that I think the public should be well aware of. And in about 5 years or 10 years, hopefully this generation that we had approached now will become eco-responsible citizens of the country, whether they are the individuals or the policymakers or the decision makers or executives in the industries and whatnot. So this is how we see it. And EcoKnights, we focus on the urban communities, which because urban communities seem to be the most consuming society. Just like Datuk Kadir said just now, Malaysians are using like 200 liters of water per day per person. And in the urban setting, you might have people who are using more, maybe 350 liters of water per day per person. So the more water you use, the more water you pollute, and the less clean water you have. This is the kind of thing or the kind of information that we hope we can convey to the public. But the challenge is, like I said just now, how to increase the motivation and commitment of the public to help facilitate or to reduce the burden of the wastewater treatment industry. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Amlir, for the insightful sharing. We will now address questions from the audience. those who are joining us on the Facebook, and you can send your question to the comment section. So this one question is dedicated for the Datuk Kadir. With the current issue of the water shortage in Selangor, how do you see treated wastewater can play a part in solving the issue?
Thank you, Dr. Jovy. This is a very good question, actually. If you look at the statistic, basing on facts, what IWK alone, excluding the private treatment plant, is producing, IWK alone is producing more than 5,000 megaliter per day. If you look at the breakdown, the highest recovery, that is about 41, if national average is about 41% of what we need in the potable water supply. So that 5,878 to be exact MLD currently, that is based on 2018 figures, that is 41%. If you zoom into Selangor alone, Selangor, they are now looking at the water supply production about 4,900 MLD. And in Selangor, the wastewater produced by IWK about 2,200 MLD. And that is about 45% of water that's being thrown into the river, treated water. So if that is 45%, if you look at 45% reserve margin, that water can be supplied to the industry, then that 45% become the reserve margin for our water supply for drinking purposes. Okay, we take up 50%. So if you talk about 50%, so about 25 or 20% readily available to be used, and we have easily 20% river margin, safe water margin for drinking water. So the way forward for Selangor, as I presented, we have 7 taps, and IWK is one of the major taps to be used, but with caution, not to be used for non-potable industries and also non-edible crops. It can be used for example, say for rubber plantation, you can do it. You can also do it for the landscape purposes. So a lot of usage for this, but it needs to be managed properly. So in short, if talk about in Selangor, you have a lot of water from this sewage treatment plant that can be used for non-potable usage. As such, you will increase the reserve water margin for our drinking purposes.
Okay, thank you, Datuk Kadir. There's another question is for Mr. Narendran. What is the Indah Water strategy or plan to market their already developed byproduct, for example, like what you mentioned, the biogas, the bioinfluence from the wastewater? And is there any success water reclamation plan being implemented in Malaysia now? Mr. Karen? You need to unmute yourself first, Mr. Narendran.
Thank you, Dr. Jovy. The biogas that is being generated is for internal use. The biosolids, yes, we are working with a third party to actually implement a waste to energy plant. And the black soldier lava is has started. We are finalizing the documents for financial closure and implementation of the facilities with a third party. Now the bioeffluent, as I said just now, we are finalizing documents with ICE Selangor. Hope to get them executed by end of this year. Now, success story, where we already have water reclamation facilities in Setia Alam sewage treatment plant, supplying about 5 MLD to a rubber glove factory. So this is a good success story. Neighboring countries such as Thailand, Vietnam have actually moved quite far. If I can share with you, the Amata Industrial Park in Bangkok practices zero discharge. So the industrial waste, together with domestic waste, is treated and further treated through a reclamation facilities, and it's being reused again. All this is actually full cost recovery. I give you an example. The tariff that is being implemented in Amata for reclamation facilities does not exceed 3 ringgit. So it's quite affordable for the industries. So we are also moving forward for full cost recovery in our water reclamation facilities. So this is a directive that we are taking to actually subsidize or help improve our financial standing, because our tariff is one of the lowest and has never been reviewed for the last 26 years. So yeah, so to conclude that the track record is very much proven. Basically, if I can share with you the technology that is well used in Setia Alam and also in Thailand through Amata Industrial Park is a pre-treatment followed by UF and RO. You get good pristine RO water quality that can be used. Thank you, Dr. Jovy.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Naren. So now another question is for Mr. Amlir. Sometimes like what you mentioned that the public is very important about the awareness, but the optic of the ignorance among the Malaysian public in contributing to a more sustainable wastewater management in Malaysia could be due to they're unable to see the big picture in their habitual ways. So can you put things into perspective for us?
I think the wastewater treatment industry is something you can say relatively quite alien to a lot of Malaysians. They do not really care about what happened to the water that they use. You know, they only care that they have water. Whenever there is pollution or water cuts, they will come up and start complaining and whatnot. But they do not know what happened to the water that they use, the amount of water that they use. The amount of water that they use, like Datuk Kadir mentioned just now, is huge. And they should be able to learn, and we should work out a way to make sure that all Malaysians, every Malaysian know that it is very important that we use water wisely. I'm not going to use the word save water or reduce water consumption, but I'm going to stress the term or the phrase use water wisely. Use water only when needed and only in the amount necessary. Because the more you use, like I said just now, the more you use, the more water which will be polluted. And this will pose a threat to the wastewater industry. And what effect will that be? That would be, the impact would be on the economy and finally on us. Maybe in the future, if Malaysians do not take care about what they throw or what they dispose of into the water system, in the toilets or in the sinks of the kitchen, it will pose a problem into the wastewater treatment industry, and we will have to pay more. This is something that Malaysians have to understand. If we do not start, and it should start from the school level. This is something that we have to stress. I always stress that we need to review the educational system in Malaysia and try to see where can we integrate this awareness and understanding, so that in the future we will have a generation which whenever they use water or any other resources, they will think first, should I use it? Is it necessary for me to use it? How much should I use it? And this will be very beneficial, not only to the water system, but to the entire environmental management in Malaysia. And it will be a very, very positive impact on the social and economic aspects of Malaysia.
And thank you, Mr. Amlir. There's one more question from the chat box. I would like to ask, is there any future plan for wastewater management for industrial or commercial which can use the illegal water supply? Is anyone, panelists, can answer this question? Is there any future plan for wastewater management for those illegal water supply?
Illegal, is it?
Yeah,
You say about illegal. How to legalize the illegals? So basically, if I can take that one, just a thought. Actually, we must find a reason why it's illegal. Is it for profit gain, or is it because of convenient gain? If it's profit gain, then there's no excuse. Is it for convenient gain? Then what we should look at is, I take one example. If you look at now the current design of low-cost houses scheme, they have provided a very insufficient parking area. So these people park haphazardly. So if you provide a proper parking space, they will park properly. So it's not because of profit, it's because of convenient gain. So if this people who illegally take water. So is it because of profit or not? If it is because of profit, then we got to tackle it differently. If it's because of convenient gain, so what is convenient? I'm sure if the wastewater being sold at, let's say, example, in Selangor, if I can recall, is about RM2.30. If IWK were to sell, even at RM2, it is profitable to them because they spend less. So how to legalize these people is first to attract them, to incentivize them to use this treated water, then the what they call the potable water is meant for human consumption. So that is one area that we can look at, and of course it will involve a lot of PR program, involve a lot of enforcement program, how to educate, because when you want to introduce something new, you got to give education first and then win the people's heart, because when it comes with sincerity, then you don't have to enforce. So it's about a commitment. It's how to touch the soft spot in the heart to safeguard the environment, and of course, looking at sustainability of the water sector as a whole. That's my take on that question.
Okay, thank you, Datuk Kadir. So now there's another question from the Q&A there. What type of the infrastructure and the policy being planned for absorption of reclaimed water around the point source? I think this question is direct to Mr. Narendran.
Okay, thank you. Basically, when we came out with a strategy to work with IS Selangor, what we did is both parties came out with a model, business model. We came out with a financial model and the capex, the opex, and the tariff. So we have submitted to Suruhanjaya Perkhidmatan Air Negara a joint business plan. We are talking to the ministry. It is also the ministry's direction to have 1,500 MLD of reclaimed water supplied by 2030. So this effort is in line with the ministry's strategic direction. So we will have no issue getting all the necessary approvals and the agreement from the government. Now, Indah Water being a company owned by Ministry of Finance Incorporated, Minister of Finance Incorporated, we will need to get MOF approval. So we have done that. We have presented to MOF. It's quite welcoming. People are looking forward for this initiative to happen. So in terms of regulatory framework, I think we're taking all the necessary or carrying on all the necessary paperwork. A lot of paperwork needs to be done. We have about 80-90% completed. So we hope by the end of this year, we'll be able to formalize this effort with IS Selangor. So, I mean, I'd like to add on, with IS Selangor, with Central Region, we are looking at 10 MLD as an immediate. Within 2 years, 50 MLD, and within 5 years, we must have at least 500 MLD. We have the Pantai plant. If you, most of us know, of you all know where Pantai centralized sewage treatment plant is located, is discharging about 300 MLD of treated effluent, very good water quality, which can be recycled for non-potable use. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Narendran. Okay, there's one more question. May I know that which water is cheaper? Is the treating wastewater or the rainwater harvesting? So in terms of the cost, which one is the cheaper? Okay,
the reclaimed water has guaranteed supply from our sewage treatment plant. Rain harvesting, it all depends. It only can be harvested when there's rain, and it's encouraged for domestic use at the moment. If you want to have constant supply to industries, because industries want guaranteed supply all the time. That's the reason why we are working with water operators. In any event, if the water reclamation facilities needs to shut down for any maintenance, the water operator can switch on their water supply to the industries. So the industries are guaranteed of constant supply 24/7. So rain harvesting is encouraged for domestic use at the moment.
Okay, so I think that's all. I'm afraid that that's all the time we have to answer all your questions. Before we wrap up today's session, What is the one key takeaway message which you would like to share with our audience tuning in today? So we start with Mr. Narendran first.
Yeah, thank you. We will work with all water operators with all water states because the water operators have licenses to supply water. So we will work with the operators to supply bulk reclaimed water. What I urge is for the industries to come forward to support and to take up industrial grade water for their operations. This will definitely ease the available water resources for human consumption.
Okay, thanks, Mr. Naren. Now we go to Datuk Kadir.
Yep, thank you. My last take on this. Actually, we always like a good thing. So good technology and things like that. I will start with one person's waste is another man's treasure. So that is converted into waste to resource and waste to wealth. And we need to change the culture. So by having to change our habit and a strong political will to make this thing happen. And last not least, first class facility will need a first class mentality and not to take wastewater for granted. Thank you.
Thank you, Datuk Kadir. So now we go for Mr. Amlir.
Thank you, Dr. Jovy. The only thing that I would like to say to wrap up is first to treat others like you want to be treated. If you want water to be clean and fresh for you, then you do not pollute it, just like you don't want others to pollute your water. Secondly, throw your rubbish at the right place. This is something which is very important. If you cannot recycle or separate your rubbish, just make sure that your waste, your rubbish go into the right place. That's the least a Malaysian can do. Otherwise, it will go to the water systems. And thirdly, is to use water wisely. Only when needed, only the amount in the amount necessary. That's all. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Amir. Thank you all the three panelists for sharing your insight, and thank you everyone for your participation. We hope you gain some valuable takeaway message which are relevant to you. Thanks all the time we have for today's session. I will now hand back to our host. Thank you for having me for the moderator.
Thank you, Dr. Jovy, for moderating such an interesting discussion. And also thank you to our three speakers, Datuk Kadir, President of the Malaysian Water Association, Mr. Narendran Maniam, CEO of Indah Water Konsortium, and Mr. Amlir Ayat, Vice President of EcoKnights. I'm sure that our audience managed to learn a lot from them today. Before we end, please help us complete the evaluation poll, which will appear on your screen now. And once again, thank you, Indah Water Consortium, for making today's session possible. It is a great effort to champion this educational session on the benefits of treated wastewater while contributing to an economically and environmentally sustainable country. Do enjoy the rest of your afternoon and stay safe. Thank you very much.